The Animal Family, Chapter 5, The Lynx. One day in early spring, the mermaid came back from the sea. She had spent 3 days with her own people. The hunter must have been watching for her, for he met her in the meadow. When they got to the door of the house, he said to her, trying to keep from smiling, "I've got a surprise for you." "The bear's back?" she said. "No, he's still in the cave," said the hunter. "But you're warm. When you get inside, tell me if you see anything different." The mermaid went in and looked eagerly, then carefully around. There were flames in the fireplace, and shells, and the hunting horn over the fireplace. The bear skin was on the bed. The deer skins and seal skins were on the floor. The bows and arrows were on the wall. "It must be a small surprise," the mermaid said. "A big one for his age," the hunter answered matter-of-factly. "Look in the bottom drawer." The bottom drawer of the chest by the bed was open, so that you could see inside it the silver and white, deerskin confusion of the hunter's shirts. "I'll straighten your shirts," the mermaid said automatically. With the years, she had become a spasmodic, enthusiastic housekeeper who straightened the room at the same speed at which she caught salmon. "Oh, do," said the hunter, laughing disproportionately. But when the mermaid reached down to the drawer hissed at her. She sprang back. There, in the middle of the drawer, white, silver, and gray as the shirts, was a spotted kitten as big as a cat. His tremendous silver eyes met the mermaid's eyes, and shrinking into the corner, he gave another hiss that would have done credit to a sea serpent. "We've another boy," said the hunter equably. "I got lonesome without you or the bear." "No, what is it, really?" "A lynx, a baby lynx." "How on earth did you get it?" "I stole him," said the hunter. "The mother has 4 more, and she'll never miss him. I don't think she can count up to 5 anyway." "But how did you get it without her knowing?" "She lives in a cave up in the hills. I saw her feeding them outside it. I was downwind from them, and none of them smelled me. You should have seen them playing with what she'd feed them. It was the way the bear used to when he was little, only more so, a lot more so. After that, I'd go by every once in a while. Believe me, I was careful, and I'd see them playing on the rocks outside the cave. Their mother wanted them to stay close inside, I guess, but they didn't want to. This one was the bravest of the bunch. When I went by the day you left, he was 40 feet from the mouth of the cave, away from the others. I thought, somebody's going to snap you up, and I was right. Somebody did." "But how long will it take to tame him?" "Well, he's tame now where I'm concerned. He just doesn't know you yet. Watch." The mermaid went over to her chair, sat down, and watched. The hunter held out his hand to the kitten in a way that was neither fast nor slow, careless nor careful. But that seemed to take it for granted that the little lynx wanted the hunter to touch him. And the lynx didn't hiss, he didn't shrink back, but let the hunter scratch him under his chin. In a moment, he was purring. "Why does he make that grating noise?" the mermaid asked. She had never heard a cat purr. For that matter, she had never even seen a cat except once, and it had been a bobcat 50 yards off in the forest. "That's purring," the hunter said. "Cats do it when they feel good. And look, he's kneading his paws." The lynx's purr had gotten louder and louder, and he was working his claws in and out of the shirts, and with a look of absent, ecstatic satisfaction on his face. "Why do you call it kneading his paws?" "I don't know. That's what my mother called it. The cat on the boat did it. I don't know what it means." "Kneading his paws," repeated the mermaid, and put the phrase by purring. And so for the first time in many months, she had some new words. "He's very playful," said the hunter proudly. "He plays as much in a day as the bear played in a week. You ought to see him with a ball." He went over, got the ball, and rolled it past the drawer, and the lynx was out of the drawer and on it in one bound. He gave the ball 2 immense, instantaneous bites, batting it from one paw to the other, flung it into the air, and then began to chase it around the room. He was doing it all by himself, but you could never have told that from looking at him or from looking at the ball. The ball seemed to come to life, and the lynx was after it. When the ball stopped, he would hide behind some inch-high fold in a deerskin, and and then, an agonizing slowness, he would carefully creep up, as a man walking a wire over an abyss would work his way invisibly up to the ball. "He makes sort of a story out of it," said the mermaid, enchanted. The lynx sprang. "He's too clever for it. Poor Ball doesn't have a chance." "Look how big his paws are," the hunter said. "And they'll always look that big, even when he's grown up. And that's how they can walk on snow so well. And see how long his hind legs are." "Why, they're ever so much longer than his front legs," the mermaid said surprisedly. "Is that why he can jump so high?" The hunter had just tossed the ball to the lynx in a slow, careful arc, and the lynx had met it in midair. "Oh, he can jump higher than that. He can jump up to the top of the chest drawers already. I'll bet you that in a month he'll be jumping all the way to the rafters." The hunter would have lost his bet, but only by a week. After that, the rafters were kind of a special treetop kingdom, all the lynx's own. He would just sit up there and watch them. Usually, he'd jump from the floor to the top of the chest, and then he'd jump to the rafters. But if he had to, he could tense himself all over, squat down, make a couple of fast starts, and then shoot up to a rafter in one soaring, unbelievable bound. It was dark up there. The lynx went comfortably from rafter to rafter, and then he would lay with his big, serious head. After the first month or two, he stopped looking like a kitten, stretched flat on his outstretched paws, watched, thought, and dozed. The bigger he got, the stranger it was to see him in the rafters, set there in the air above their heads like a cloud by moonlight, staring at them with his big, steady, silver, steely eyes. He looked magical, a spell the forest had cast on the house. From the first, the lynx loved being with the bear. He had started out with one big furry thing, his mother, and the bear was bigger, but he was furrier. When he stretched himself against that great brown mound, so awkward and oblivious, the lynx looked very quick and smooth and small. Away from the bear, he looked quick and smooth and big. How deftly he sat at the table, delicately eating and drinking from his dish and bowl, purring, taking a big bite of fish from the mermaid's fingers. They had given him the bear's chair. The bear had long ago outgrown it, and sat on the floor by the table now, his head and shoulders towering above it anyway. The lynx had the best table manners of them all, except when they served him partridge. He loved it so much that he would dab at his piece with his paw, work it out of the dish onto the table, and then with a rapt stare rub his head against it. Once he got so excited that he flung it into the air, batted it to the floor, and then chased it around the room as if it were alive, like his ball. The bear's growing up had been one long accident. The lynx grew up as smoothly and designedly as he did everything else. The first time he got on the roof, even, he managed to get down by himself, after the mermaid and the hunter had told him and told him and told him he could. But one day, the hunter left the top drawer of the chest open, the one that held his mother's handkerchief. When they came back, the rumpled deerskins were in piles on the floor, and the lynx, still looking slightly out of breath, was lying in the corner with the wet, shredded handkerchief a few inches from his nose. "Oh, what a shame," said the mermaid. "It's not his fault," the hunter said sadly. "He doesn't know any better. He was just playing." He reached down and patted the lynx, and the lynx purred. But after they'd washed and dried the handkerchief and put it back in the drawer, it was as good as ever, in its way, and it had become a sort of lynx souvenir, too, a reminder of the only real mistake their lynx had ever made.